event because we have a special event with a special speaker, and I'm so excited. And for anybody that has not known this, Laura Rackers, I had to practice that, is from Jefferson City, Missouri. And before I introduce her, I'm just going to make a couple of announcements because she's going to do the entire presentation, and I know that everybody's excited to hear her. But we have regional training on December the 7th. If you have not RSVP'd for that, please RSVP because I am actually paying for all the food. So it's out of my pocket. It's my way to give back to you guys. And but if you don't RSVP, you won't get any food. Or, you know, something like that. But it's just my way to give back for the year, so I hope you enjoy it. And we're going to have a lot of fun things. We have an ugly sweater contest, so be sure to wear your ugly sweater. It's this Saturday. We've got, what else do we have? A photo booth. For $1, it's going to go to Big Brothers and Big Sisters. And that $1 will get you a photo, and then that donation that you make will go to Big Brothers and Big Sisters. Don't bring a gift, you know, what do you call the white elephant gift? We decided that would be too complicated, and we just want to have fun and talk and hang out and play games and stuff like that. Gee, Carl, was that on tape? So, how many of you are coming? Okay, if you would, there's a Facebook invitation. You can respond on there. You can send a message to my email, which is yougo, Y-O-U-G-O, @everestkc.net. But there is a Facebook invitation. Please go there. And so now, without any further wait, Laura Rackers is from Jefferson City, Missouri. She is in the back office under the testimonials. You can go watch her testimony, but better yet, you can just watch her here. Thank you so much, Laura.
So I'm going to try to speak loud. I tend to have a softer voice, so if you guys can't hear me or if I'm, looking at a certain point and you want me to turn, please just tell me because this is for your benefit and your guests and etc. Thank you guys for welcoming me here to this area. I have some prospects in the area, and so I was going to come up and actually meet with them and was invited to come here and share with you guys, and so thank you very much. So I'm going to first start by telling you a little bit about my background, and I spoke on stage at Dallas at National Conference, and even though that was 10,000 people, and there's not 10,000 people in this room, I am a little bit nervous, so you'll have to excuse me. But definitely my background is in medical aesthetics. So I come from a totally different background. I have never ever done multi-level marketing before in my life. And I like to say relationship marketing because I think what's most important about what we do is we truly do build relationships with people. Multi-level marketing is great. It's a great, coin term. But I love to build relationships with my clients and with my brand partners. I post a lot on Facebook, and I always say, that I truly have a gift. I feel like we all have a gift with Miriam, that we can truly change lives, and I see that happening all over the place, not with just our team locally, but all over the United States. I love this because you can be a doctor, you can be a lawyer, you can be a daycare provider, you can be a nurse, you can be a carpet cleaner, you can be anything and still do Miriam because we have a rhythm, we have a system, but more than that, you guys, we have a product that truly works. Coming from a clinical background where I did medical aesthetics for years, almost 13 years, I own 2 medical spas, one in Jefferson City and one in Columbia, Missouri. And coming from that background, I can tell you, I have had every product, every laser, and everything related to skin at my disposal and in my hand at one time or the other. So I'm one of those people who have to be a believer in something. If I believe in it, if I know it works, the sky is the limit because I wholeheartedly believe in it. So when I stand here today to tell you that the product works, you can believe 100% the product works. It may take a little bit longer for some people to see results than other people for different reasons, depth of skin, oil, just different kinds of things, but definitely the product works. So 90% of our work is already done for us, right? We don't have to give a sales pitch. We don't have to try to convince anybody. All we have to truly do is share a product. I promise you that I built my business during the first several months of it after having chemo, and I was really sick. And I did a lot of it from my home by posting before and after pictures of my real clients. So definitely take your pictures, and it's key. It is truly key. A lot of times people will say, try this product and take your own picture. Invite your clients or your prospects to take their own picture, but definitely you take their picture too. So when they come back, you can show them the difference, because a lot of times we don't see the subtle changes every day like we do in a photograph. So a little bit about my story and my background. I won't go completely through the whole entire detailed story, but I'll go through part of it for you. If you want to know a little bit more about my story, like she said, Mindy said, my testimonial video is in the back office. But I owned a medical spa for 13 years, loved every single bit of what I did. I had 20,000 patients, clients, whatever you would like to call it. And a lot of times when people think about my success and where I am in Miriam, the first thing they think is, oh my gosh, she got there because she had all these clients, right? Well, my story is going to be a little different than that. Even though I had all of those clients, also understand that I knew, because I had closed my medical spas, that those clients would have separated and they would have gone to other providers and stuff. And so I didn't want to call them up and say, hey, I've got this great product, because I didn't want to make them, one, feel uncomfortable, that they had to come back to me, or they had to say, oh gosh, I'm seeing somebody else. So understand, when I tell you that I built my business from scratch, I truly restarted and built this business that I have in Miriam from scratch. So I'll kind of give you a brief story here, but literally I had closed my medical spas and I became very ill. I was sent to Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, and I'm a single mom with 2 little girls. If you're a friend of mine on Facebook, I will post about them all the time, so they're truly like the light of my life. But literally, I was sick, got sent to Mayo Clinic. I had been sick for several months prior to that, but nobody could really figure out what was wrong with me. And I resided at Mayo Clinic. It became like my residence for 3 months. And they told me that I had a very rare disease, a disease that less than 100 people in the world had. And there's not a cure, and the outcome was not good. However, I'm a very faithful person, and one thing that I have been taught my whole life and truly believe 100% is that with God anything is possible, and that we can do anything if we truly believe in Him and know that He will be the person who gets us through whatever. And so with my faith in hand and knowing I had 2 little girls that I could not give up for, I set out on my journey. But my journey I didn't know about until about, I guess, a year ago. I was at Mayo Clinic, and again, I had this rare disease. All of these doctors would come in, and they would truly want to see, me, because I was like the weirdo, the one who nobody knew what they had. And lo and behold, a doctor had come in. He had routed. And because of my background and my clinical experience, he was just, I guess at the time, trying to make small talk with me and find a common ground with me. And he was telling me and asking me if I had heard about this product before. And I was like, no. And I didn't really care at the time, because the news that I had been given obviously was significant impact on a lot of things. And it was just one of those days where I could care less about my old career or anything related to it. And honestly, fast forwarding, I never really gave that conversation much thought. 8 months after that conversation, I found myself back locally where I live in the hospital in Columbia, Missouri. I had to have my port emergently removed where I was receiving chemo because I had a blood infection. And the bottle of Nerium got into my hands during that time. And I recalled the conversation that I had had at the doctor, in the hospital in Rochester, Minnesota. And, I'm one of these things people that believe that things just don't happen. They happen, there's a reason, there's a coincidence. And that day in the hospital when that product got into my hand, I literally took my focus on something completely different, because the day that the product got in my hand, I was having a pity party for myself. You know, I had come from this clinical aesthetic background, and looks were kind of what drove my business. And I had gone through a plethora of appearance-related things, weight gain with the steroids and all the things that I had to go through. My skin, for the very first time in my life, did not reflect who I was. And all of that is minuscule, you know, considering what I faced, but definitely it was part of me. You know, that was ingrained in me. That was a little bit of who I was, a lot of who I was. And so that very day I was just having a pity party for myself. And the product got into my hands, and my focus changed that entire rest of the day. I could not wait until the person who gave me the product left, and I literally borrowed the hospital laptop, and I researched that product for 4 hours until the laptop died. And so I did not know that that would be the turning moment for my life going forward. You see, what I didn't share on stage is I had lost everything. I had once made $20,000 a month, and I'm young, I'm only 35, I just turned 35. So understand, for many years, you know, I made really good money. I worked really hard for what I had, but I lost everything. And at the time that the Nerium got into my hands, you guys, I had $40 in an account that the community had for me, and that they were helping us stay afloat. I was on food stamps and Medicaid for the very first time in my life, the very first time. And understand, I'd been through a lot in my young adulthood, and even as a child. I was emancipated at age 16 and kind of raised my sister. So understand, I knew what it was like to struggle and not have certain things and etc. But when you're sick and you can't help yourself, that's a whole different ballgame. And so literally at that time, at the night that I researched all of this, I knew that there was some legitimacy and some validity to Nerium International and the product in general. But what I did not know is how that would affect me going forward. So I was just refocused and excited that this sounds like a really good company. This sounds like a really great product. Maybe my skin is going to start looking better once I use this product. That was the only aspiration of Nerium that I had at the time. And so I'm one of these people. We're all, well, some of us are from the Show Me State, so I had to be shown that the product worked right. And about 2 weeks later, when I got home from the hospital and I was off of all the antibiotics, you know, intravenously and et cetera, I started using the product. And the product was working. I was like, oh my gosh, what is this product? Because it was one product. And I come from a background where the average ticket for skincare products was anywhere from $500 to $700 walking out of the clinic. That was per client, per month regimen, right? So I couldn't believe that this one product was making such a difference. And literally, my best friend came to see me, and she models. She's beautiful, and love her to death. Love her, love her, love her. But she's one who's not, she doesn't usually put out compliments. She's used to getting them. And when she complimented my skin, I was like, oh my gosh, she's noticing my skin. But she didn't know that I was using a product. And then I went to the hospital for my follow-up, and the nurses that saw me every week for my treatments, they were like, wow, you really look better. You know, the blood infection must have been wreaking havoc on your skin as well as everything else. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have got to tell them what I'm doing, because this is another validation. You know, I had gotten out of the shower that morning and taken my camera phone and taken a picture, because the day I was in the hospital having the pity party for myself, I took with my phone and took the same picture, except they were dramatically different. And it was only a few days of use. So at that time, you know, I didn't know, again, what it would mean for me. But my best friend wanted the product, the nurses at the hospital wanted the product, and definitely I decided that I wanted the product as well. So a couple months went by, and I was awaiting these treatments that cost $50,000 a month to prolong the longevity and to help the disease process that I have. And all of my doctors locally my Mayo Clinic doctors, they were all trying to work together to approve me for these treatments that cost $50,000 a month. With the kind of insurance that I had and the circumstances that I was in, you guys, my insurance was not going to approve an experimental treatment that cost that much every single month, right? So my wheels began to turn a little bit, and I remembered that Miriam had this great compensation plan. But what I remembered most is Miriam had these things called live better bonuses. You see, I didn't need to live better. I just needed to simply live. And I began to think, what if I could get that live better bonus? What if I could do this? I don't know why, how, or what, but it was just instilled within me. What if I could do it? And so what did I have to lose, right? I had 2 little girls that I had to fight for, and I had to try to figure out some way out of the situation that I was in. I didn't want to go on disability like my doctors tried to get me to do. I didn't want to do what they wanted me to do. I wanted to get those treatments. Well, January 16th of 2013, this year, I borrowed the money, and I decided that I was going to try to do this Miriam thing, right? Understand that the house that we were living in, we rented, and we had a lot of help to keep the house that we were in and stay in it. But I tell this jokingly, but I swear my neighbors probably thought I had turned into a drug dealer because everybody knew things were really bad and we were moving out of our house, and then all of a sudden, like every 15 minutes, cars were coming in and out of my driveway, and my neighbors were like, oh my gosh, either it's getting close to the time or something is going on over here. And so, lo and behold, those were people coming to pick up Miriam trials, and I would take their picture, make them return the bottle in 6 days after 5 nights of use. And I was not, able to go out a lot, and, I had been immunocompromised and stuff, and so that's why they were coming to my house. But literally, you guys, that's how I built my business. I mean, that is how I truly built my business for the first couple of months. And it was the best thing I ever did, because in 2 months, I earned a Lexus. I didn't start this business with the thinking that I was going to have a car and an iPad and all that. I mean, I knew all that came before those live better bonuses that I needed, but I didn't really think about that. And when I earned the Lexus, I didn't even take it for several months because I honestly was in such shock that somebody would just give you a free car. Everything in my whole entire life I had to work so hard for, and I just couldn't believe that where my circumstances were, and in 2 months they had flipped so much, and I just knew that those blessings all came from above. Today I told the girls that came with me, sometimes you just look up and you say, God, I know this is from you. And so that truly has happened for me with Miriam and for several other people. But lo and behold, I started not just helping myself, but for the first time in my life, I had the ability to help other people help themselves. I lived good at one point in my life. I had great, wonderful employees, which I'm honored to have one of them here tonight. I did that, but when I had the clinic, I helped people feel better and look better, but I could not help them live better. Today, I can help people change their lives and help them live better. And so, literally, I just kept going with my business until I get a call from Renee Olson, and her and Jeff are on the line, and they're like, who are you? Who is this girl? In Holt Summit, Missouri, because that's where I live, actually. It's a little town, 4,000 people, right outside of Jefferson City. And they asked me if I would come and share my success story on the stage in Dallas in the national conference. And, I was so excited. I said yes until I walked out on that stage and saw 10,000 people. Literally, I was backstage sniffing lavender. I was sick to my stomach because I was sniffing so much lavender. But anyway, so I was very fortunate to be able to stand on that stage and share a portion of my story and hold up the Success magazine. And I was in there #1 in the nation for the most preferred customers, and then of course #3 for brand partner sponsorship, and Miriam Gives Back. So I've been in there several times. In fact, in December's issue, I'm number 2 in there for the largest team. So those things are big for me, because I am in a small I share those things with you simply not because yay me, but thank you guys, but because I'm just trying to show you and tell you that if I can do it from all of the circumstances that I had facing me, each and every one of you can do the same thing. I would love to be in an area like this. I mean, my girls on my team, they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you just walked up that person and da-da-da-da-da. I love to share the gift of Miriam, and I love to see what it does for people's skin as much as it does for their life. And I have no doubt in my mind that before April hits, I will definitely hit an MD. I was so close to regional this month. It was absolutely insane. It was down to the, wire, and those things happen, and God's just not ready for me to have that yet. And so that's great, because I can still do what I love every day, and I don't have to leave my kids, and I don't have to work an 8 to 5, and I don't have to let somebody else, tell me what I can do. But guess what's better than every single thing that I told you? If I got that Live Better bonus, it would go in an account, because somewhere along the way, I'm doing phenomenal. I am on half as much medicine as I was, and my doctors cannot believe it. So I don't know why, but I'm accepting of that gift as well. And I want to go ahead and do the real presentation for you guys, because that's what you've come here for as well. But I just want to share my story, because I just want everybody to know that Miriam is where it is. I could go work for anybody and do anything with my experience. I could. But I am telling you, there's something about this company, there's something about this product, and there's just a lot about watching it change other people's lives and circumstances. So, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the presentation here. So of course, Live Better, Look Better, I've kind of talked about the Live Better portion.